Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us once again for episode 2 of Student Engagement Series. Today we're going to be covering everything about Pear Deck. My name is Teresa Castro.
And I am Ricardo Recinos.
And we are both technology TOSAs from Hacienda La Puente Unified School District. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So what is Pear Deck? I know a lot of you have heard about it before. We're going to show you all the things you need to get started with Pear Deck. What it is, it actually makes your lessons interactive. So whether you're using Microsoft or you're using Google Slides, you can turn your existing material into interactive slides to do with your students.
I was just going to say, when I started teaching 20 years ago, I know it's been that long, I used to be that teacher center PowerPoint, just me in front of the class going from slide to slide to slide. But Pear Deck turns that into a student center kind of activity, where now we're talking about a presentational tool that is actively engaging students. That's the best way I can define Pear Deck. Go ahead, Teresa.
Absolutely. And it's really simple to use. You simply just have to have the add-in, again, either in Microsoft or in Google, and you just add your slides. They could be existing slides from Pear Deck or ones you already have, and then you present it and share with the class. We're going to take you through all those steps today.
And just to add, I know a lot of people have asked about this. There is no need sometimes to have a Google slide or a PowerPoint. You can use it as an entry slip. You can use it as an exit slip, and we're going to show you that too.
So Pear Deck allows the teachers to make any presentation interactive so that all students can actually participate. So I know before we used to, like Ricardo said, we used to have our slides, and then sometimes the students, we'd have our whiteboards and things like that. But now every single student, regardless of where they are in the room, can interact, and you can actually see how they're doing as they interact with your slides, which is amazing because you can adjust instruction from there, and they can work at their own pace as well if you let them do student paced.
And something that you might not be aware is that, and we're going to show you today, is that instant feedback that you can give to those students as they are engaged in your presentation. And we'll cover that too today.
Every student answers no matter what kind of learner. So regardless of what type of learner you have, whether it's, language, abilities, every student can participate. So that's really powerful for us. You see each individual answer so you know who needs more guidance. So this is really powerful. We always talk about formative assessment, and just imagine being able to really sense where they are as you are providing your instructions. So you could adjust as you go along, and you could look at this data later on to also guide your further plans for your instruction in the future as well.
Not only that, but I think for me, as I used it in my classroom, it leads to these powerful conversations that maybe wouldn't happen before. Maybe that shy kid that would have never given me that answer now gives me that answer, is engaged, and all of a sudden they're part of the class, and it leads to conversations that would have never happened if I would have not given that student a voice through Pear Deck.
Right. And if you remember, feedback sometimes takes so long to give back. But having this instant feedback, again, like he said, just really sparks these conversations. We really want to keep our students engaged. That's why we're doing this series for you, because this is really powerful for us, right? So the increase in achievement, of course, 50% reduction in achievement gap between less and more affluent students, and reduction of achievement gap between male and female students. This just really closes the gap all around, just keeping your students engaged, making sure that you are checking and seeing how well they're understanding your concept, being able to adjust instruction from there on out. This benefits everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started and show you the different types of Pear Deck questions. As I'm talking about this, Ricardo's going to go ahead and transition.
In a second, we're going to switch it so you can see what it looks like from the teacher point of view and also the student point of view. But I wanted to make sure that you understand that Pear Deck has two versions. There's a free version that allows you to do some of the stuff that you're seeing right here. Students can write text, they can write numbers, they can choose an answer, they can show students a website, and also non-interactive slides. But then we do have a premium version. At Hacienda La Puente, we're lucky enough to have the premium version. So you'll see all those extra items that we have with the premium version. So I'm going to switch it so Teresa can actually join as a student, if you give me a second. So I'm going to come in here. It doesn't matter if you're using, again, Google Slides or PowerPoint. You basically do the same thing. I'm going to start the lesson. We'll show you how this works later on, but I want to see how it's going to work. So as a teacher, you open the lesson and you have the option to do a student-paced activity in which the students go through the lesson on their own, and you can do it as an instructor-paced activity. We've seen many of our teachers will start with the instructor-paced activity, and let's say that they run out of time, or maybe they decide that they want the kids to finish it on their own. They'll switch it to the student-paced activity for the kids to maybe finish in class or finish at home, but you always have the ability to go back and forward between the two types of pace that you have available. So for today, to start, we're going to do instruction-paced activity. So I'm going to click on it, and it's going to provide this code that Teresa, as our student, is going to take and put in her device, and you'll see it right now. Right, and just to add, there's a lot of ways to do this. If the students, for whatever reason, are having trouble, you can actually just come over here and click for a link that you can provide to them, whether you're using Canvas, Google Classroom, whatever, in Zoom, so it's easier for them to just click and be able to log in. But once they've done it, notice that we have one student that has connected now. So now that I'm ready, I can continue. And as I continue, I'm going to switch it so you can see what our students see during our Pear Deck presentation. So I'm going to continue. And as I do that, I'm going to switch it.
Okay, so now we're looking at my screen right now. So the students, for the very first time they go in, they're like, does this question count? And they're a little bit nervous, and you explain, no, we're just asking how you're feeling today. This is optional, but it's always great to kind of get a feel of how they're doing. So I'm feeling great tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then it starts for me. So right now, we wanted you to see the student point of view so that we can actually demonstrate these types of questions. So Ricardo's going to go ahead and control it, but I'm going to answer as a student, kind of talk you through. And then later, we're going to show you how to take your slides and turn them into these interactive slides. So here's one of the question types right now. It's actually text entry. So it just opens up a box on the side. So keep this in mind, because there's a little bit of a difference between a different type of text entry later on. How would a former student describe you in one word? Can I use you, Ricardo? Can I just have a student describe you?
Sure.
I'm just kidding. I might get in trouble.
So it's going to be a lie. Let's go.
I'm going to say intelligent. Wow.
I was correct.
So I typed that in as a student, and you'll see later on Ricardo will show us, or whenever he's ready, he'll show us from the teacher's end how that looks when a student gives us answers. So that's one.
Something that is new, I think it's new, at least I hadn't noticed before, is that the student has the ability to add another response. So when we talk about feedback, you'll notice that maybe I'll come in and say, try a little harder, or whatever it might be, right? And the student can give another response right in there. So more than one response.
So here's another one. Enter a number here. So this limits the students to just number entries. So how many books are in the series Harry Potter? Please don't judge me. I'm not sure. I should have looked this up before we did it, or we've done this a few times, and I think I've been wrong every time.
She has.
I do that on purpose. Just kidding. So I'm just going to enter a number. I have no idea, you guys. I'm so sorry. So you just enter a number. So that's one type of answer as well.
And notice that this was a little different how Teresa entered the number. It wasn't typing right there. She had the option to go up and down with a number right there.
And the next one is just a slide with no interaction whatsoever. So if I was doing this with the students, I would ask for their answer and then actually show them their answer by showing a slide just like this. So you have those options as well to insert those slides in between to kind of give them feedback as we go along, right?
Correct.
So how many are there, Ricardo? It says 7, but then there's this one up here. I'm not sure. Let's not get technical about it.
7.
Okay. Here's one. How good are you at graphing mathematical equations? So this is multiple choice. So you can create any slide into a multiple choice question. So I think I definitely have other talents. I'm not horrible at it, but I have other talents. Next, please. Okay, this is a really powerful one we wanted you to pay attention to. This is actually called providing a website to the students. So when you provide a website to the students, it actually inserts it into the slide for them. So on your teacher end, it doesn't look like this. You enter the website in our dashboard that we'll show you later on, but it actually shows them here. It doesn't have to take them somewhere else. We are on desmos.com right here. And so we didn't have to go to a window, another tab. The students were right in here, so they can actually do it right on the spot. So, oh my gosh, Ricardo, it's been a long time. We provided this training for a while ago. So, oh wow, look. I think I'm doing it correctly. Oh, here we go, to another one. So I'm just going to go through this exercise because it helps us on our next question. Look at that. I did it correctly.
Good job.
Thank you.
And even if it was a bad job, I wouldn't be able to tell you I'm not a math teacher. So we're in the same boat.
And you wouldn't want to embarrass me in front of all these people either. So, and again, this is another multiple choice question. What kind of lines are the two that you graphed in the previous question? I would say parallel, and on and on. So I think they get the picture of that multiple choice one. Let's keep going. Okay, so now we're actually going into our premium features. So luckily for our district, we actually purchased Pear Deck for all teachers. So we have the premium features. We can do all of these things. But if you don't, we did want to show it to you so that you know what your options are. There are so many more things you could do, mostly dragging things and using pictures and things like that. And you'll see, we'll demonstrate that right now.
Sure. Let me go next.
So here's one, students drag the icon. So any icon, it could be a circle, it could be anything. You know, this is a great way to see how they're doing in the morning. Maybe, how are you feeling today? And I'm going to put it right here. I'm pretty happy. So that would be mine. I thought I took this one out. Place a pin on any state that begins with the letter M other than Michigan. So I could take this pin and I can move it anywhere. And again, this is, you're assessing your students' learning here. So I'm just... I think
there's a reason why we took it out, because last time we went to California.
It's Maine. I got it, Mr. Racinos.
There you go. Sorry.
Okay, and here's another one too. This is also drag, but instead of a drop pin, you can actually drag a line. So where's the equator? And I mean, I'm just going to guess in the middle. And so that's another option that you have as well, a horizontal line that you can drag. And the answer is, I'm not that off. So again, my next slide is a non-interactive slide to show them the answer. So those are ways that you can use it.
Next.
Let's demonstrate the next one. Okay, so here's the same thing, but a vertical line, so you can move it. So if you're talking timelines or anything like that, that would be really great. What year was Google founded? Ricardo, what year was Google founded? I'm going to quiz you this time.
Before I was born.
Oh, so that was like over here. I'm just kidding. Google wasn't around before you were born, Ricardo. Okay, so we're just going to guess. Okay, put it right there. And we'll see what the answer is, because I did put a static one after that. It started in 1998, long after you were born. Whatever.
Let's go ahead and go next.
Yep. Let's go on. So draw your favorite animal in 30 seconds. So here's the powerful drawing one, which you were going to use a lot of most of the time. So the students can choose their different colors. They could choose pencil, highlighter, lines. They could actually text in here. They could use their eraser. I'm just going to draw because it says to draw. And what is it? Favorite animal? Okay, I'm not going to say anything because... What does every teacher say when they start drawing? I'm not an artist. They always say that, right? I'm doing my best. Okay, so we're just going to pretend.
Obviously.
That's mean. Anyways, so that's how easy it is for the students to use. And I mean, they see stuff like this all the time. You don't even have to show them how to use it. It's so simple. So we'll go ahead. We'll continue on and not stare at my drawing. Thank you so much. Here's one, circle the nouns in yellow, circle the verbs in red. So not just drawing images, you're actually using it to assess how much they know, right? So we tell them circle nouns in yellow, so they find yellow. And then they have their, ooh, it's super big. So they can also adjust the width, but I'm not going to do it right now for the sake of our demonstration. Circle the verbs in red. Oh, I could barely see it. Did the bird, ooh, fly is right there. Sorry, Ricardo, but that's the best I could do right now.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and move on.
All right, so here's one, label the femur. So we're labeling something, and you might think, you know what, no, this is a text box, but it really isn't, because a text box would just show up on the right side, and you don't want the students just to say the word femur. You would actually want them to label it somewhere. So you would use draw for that. So just keep that in mind. So even though they're not drawing something, they're labeling something, they would you would want draw so they could choose where it goes on the slide. Okay, I'm sorry if that's wrong, but that's not the point of the exercise. But there you go. So you would choose draw for that. Continue. Same thing here. You would draw, you would recreate it. I'm not going to spend time doing that because Ricardo's just going to make fun of my drawing abilities. You would draw it and then you would label it. And I think this might be the last one, but let's continue to make sure. Oh, there you go. I knew it.
And I think before we continue, we do want to show you some of the powerful tools that you do have as a teacher. Let me go back to a question that we did a little while ago where Teresa used text. Let me go ahead and go back. So I think it was this one right here. But what I wanted you to see, and actually I'm going to show you this from the teacher's point of view, and then we can look at it from the student's point of view. But as I am watching my students interact with the Pear Deck, notice that I can see in the teacher dashboard, I can see Teresa's responses, and I can come and be like, you know what, this was a really good response that is going to lead to some very powerful conversations. So maybe I can start that one. It's going to highlight it for everybody. And from there, I can take that particular response and lead to those conversations that might have not happened before. You also might have that student that, it's not mature enough and maybe puts a response that is inappropriate. And you don't want to have that in front of the kids, obviously. So you as a teacher in the teacher dashboard have the ability to come to the little snowman over here with the dots and go in there and say, hide the response. So you are monitoring this in real time. So you have the ability to do that, to hide that response that you might want the kids not to see if you're going to show the responses to the students. And finally, what we were talking about a little while ago, feedback, right? I was that type of student that just wanted to see my grade, and it wasn't, I wanted to see what I got. I got an A, I got a B, right? And that's all I care about. But it wasn't until I became a teacher that I understood how important that feedback is, right? Being able to provide that individual, that feedback directly to that student on a specific slide, being able to prompt that student to re-examine maybe or adjust the original answer, as we did with this one where Teresa had more than one answer, and maybe improve support for that student from far away without embarrassing them, right? That feedback is just between you and that student. So there's no one else, that you're not putting anyone on the spot. You're trying to help them out or maybe support, and you can do it just between the two of us. So if I came in here, I can come in here and I can say, intelligent. Now, please try again. Right? When the student is describing me, right? And notice that I'm going to send that feedback, and then I'm going to switch it to that student point of view right now, so you can see it. And let me go ahead and go back, and then notice that Teresa right on the bottom has a little blue box that showed up that says you have feedback, instant feedback on the spot. And she can click on there and she can come and see what my feedback was. And she might be able to readjust that answer, or maybe get an idea of how this should have been done. Is there anything you want to add to that, Teresa? I know it's kind of important to be able to have that instant feedback nowadays.
Oh, this is huge. Yeah, a lot of teachers never even know about this, and this is a newer feature, I'm sure. So just look at, I'm on my screen as a student. The students have their own screens in front of them, and you're giving them feedback, and other students don't know. This is, just imagine. So now I can actually adjust my answer, right? So that's very powerful. I'm really glad that you were able to show that.
Right. So we wanted to make sure that you got to see that firsthand, and also in real time, because it happens in real time. Okay.
Right.
Something that we didn't mention, and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned. I know Teresa's going to mention this later on, but we kind of talked about the idea that we were going on teacher pace, but I wanted to make sure that you did know that as a teacher, you always had the ability to switch this to student pace and even bring it back to teacher pace as the kids are going along with this. Another thing that I wanted you to see from the teacher's point of view is that you are seeing these answers, but maybe you want to use these answers to be able to create those conversations, that engagement from the kids. And notice that you do have the ability to lock screens. And if I do this, the students are automatically stopped on that particular slide, and we can talk, and nobody's moving forward or being distracted or moving back, and so on and so on.
You should show them my screen when you did that.
Oh yeah, so let me lock it, and then let me go ahead and show.
So this is my screen now. So as a student, this is what I see. Your teacher has locked the responses for this slide.
So we can kind of go like all eyes on me, right? As we're trying to make a point with the students, right? So that's kind of a great tool to have. In addition, like I was saying before, I can show responses. And if I would have had 20 students in my class, I would have seen all of those responses one after the other. And what I love about this is that you are seeing the responses and they're anonymous, okay? There's no names to the kids, okay? So I'm not putting anyone on the spot. However, on my feedback as a teacher, just to show you, okay, on my actual dashboard, I can see that it was Teresa that responded with intelligent. But when I'm talking with the students and I'm posting this in front of everybody, the responses are showing without names on them. So I can actually have those conversations, right? Without having to embarrass anyone or put someone on the spot, and making sure that the kids feel comfortable and they trust the process, and they actually feel that they can actually participate without anyone judging them.
Okay. And this is so empowering. You know how students love to see their own work up, but like Ricardo said, a lot of them are hesitant, but seeing your own words up there is just so powerful and really keeps you engaged in your lesson. So this is such a great tool to use.
And I know Teresa's going to cover this, but from the teacher point of view, again, we showed you how to lock the screens. All of a sudden, this great conversation comes out, and I'm like, you know what? This could lead to something else. You always have the ability to add a new prompt right on the spot. Just because you created something already with your Google Slides doesn't mean that you can add things on the spot. So I could come in here and click on it. I'm able to add all these things that Teresa is going to talk about in a little bit. But I wanted to make sure that you saw that while you're already doing your Pear Deck, you still have that ability. We went through our whole Pear Deck. I just wanted to make sure that you can see that you as a teacher can end it, right? Maybe if we run out of time, I can come in here again and switch it to student pace, or I can end the session just like doing it from here or doing it from right here on this side.
So I'm glad you show them how to add prompts while you're actually in the presentation already, because what I'm going to show them is before you even do it, you're still setting it up from the beginning. So Ricardo showed you a way to do it while you're in there. So don't feel like you're committed just because you're in the middle of your session already, but you could alter it as you go along. So that's really great. Thank you.
Would you like me to talk about the new feature about feedback when this is over? I think we should do it now just because we're not going to be able to get back to this later. Actually, you can always get back to it. Completely up to you.
Sure. You know what? We were going to demonstrate it and show you the feedback after, but since Ricardo's already here, I think it's a good idea. Let's go ahead and show it to them now. So we're working a little bit backwards, you guys. Sorry, but I think this is best.
I just wanted to make sure that you understood that when I click N, there's this new screen that shows up that you might have not seen before, and I'm just going to give it a name. And then for this guest, I'm just going to call it. Teresa. Okay, just for now, because she was my only student. And when I save it in the session, you probably have never seen this brand new pop-up that shows up. Okay, and I know we're gonna cover it later on. If you have never seen it and you close it, don't worry about it. You can always go back to it as we go into peardeck.com. But what I want you to see, this is called Reflect and Review. Last year, this was called Takeaways. Pear Deck has taken this, they've redone it completely, they reinvented it, and it's pretty amazing. Now, I can show you that I can still have the ability to do the takeaways. However, the kids have to go into a Google Drive, they have to find the folder, and they have to find the takeaways. That's not longer needed. I can share it to Classroom, but now you have this amazing link, okay? And I'm gonna show you how that works in a second, that if I provide this to my students, even though it's the same link, Pear Deck knows which student is who. When they click on it, only Teresa is able to see the review and the reflections that are going to happen between the teacher and the student. The same link for a different student, only they are going to be able to see that right there. So just to show you, okay, I could copy it and provide it, but something that is huge with Pear Deck now is that as I provided that feedback on the moment, as you saw it a second ago, I can go back in here and I'm going to open Reflect and Review just so you see it. And what I want you to see is that I have the ability, I can select from the top my students that were on my Pear Deck, and I only had one, I had only Teresa, and I can pick them from here too. It doesn't matter if you do it from the middle or from the corner, it's going to be the same thing. And I can come in here, and now that feedback that I provided on that particular question, if you remember, is still going to be there. And I'm just gonna go to it so you can see it. Okay, here's the feedback that we had before. If you remember, I can come here and leave more feedback if I wanted to leave more feedback, and that previous feedback is going to be there. But on top of that, I can come in here and notice that I can come in, and here's the original one, right? And I can say, good job, okay? And now the student has that original one, and in addition, the one that I just sent right now, okay? You'll see that it's gonna go to the top. So that's kind of a great option to have. And I can come in here and go through every single slide, and I feedback to every single slide, maybe make comments, provide specific feedback to that particular student. And when I'm done with it, going through their Pear Deck presentation and how they did, I can come over here and copy the student link and provide it to that student, like I said, and it's going to be specific to that student. So I wanted to make sure that you saw that, because we're going to finish this Pear Deck right now, and we have some data right now that you could see. So this is, again, Reflect and Review. It's brand new, and it's pretty incredible to add another layer to Pear Deck after we're done with the presentation. Now we have the students' ability to go back and see what their answers were, see the comments that you gave them, see what they might have done wrong, or how they could have switched an answer, and so on and so on. So just wanted to make sure you knew that, or you were aware of that.
And like Ricardo said, the amazing thing, it just magically, you give the same link to everybody, but since I'm logging on, it just magically knows to provide me my own feedback and not anyone else. So I could demonstrate that, Ricardo, but I think you kind of showed it, so it's up to you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
It is going to be. We were this morning when we tried it, we're like, oh my God,
You're like,
whoa.
What? How does it
just
know?
knows.
It's magic.
Right.
All right. So let's go ahead. Oh, all right, we're back on my screen. Great. Okay, so at this point, I'm sorry, we jumped around a little bit just because we didn't want to miss that powerful part, and it made more sense there than I think where it was originally. So we're just going to go with it. But now we're kind of back on track where we're going to just show you how to actually take your existing slide deck and make it interactive using Pear Deck. So we're going to start from the beginning and show you how to actually get Pear Deck. So here I am in Google. You could be doing it in Google Slides. You could be doing it in your PowerPoint. As well in Microsoft, but I'm going to be doing it here in Slides. And Ricardo, I think you're going to be doing it in Microsoft, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So here I am. I go to add-ons. I'm in a slide deck right now. You don't have to do this every time. You just have to do it the first time. Okay. So I go to add-ons, get add-ons. And it is the first one because it's the most popular one right now. But if it wasn't there, you would simply type it and you would search for it. But it's just right here. So I'm going to click on it, install. Continue, make sure I'm using the right account, allow, done.
And as Teresa finishes that, we have had some teachers, not from our district, but that were not able to go to the add-on option. That just means that your IT team has to go into the Google Administrator dashboard and allow you to add add-ons if you don't see the option to add the add-ons.
Absolutely. So that's a good point, Ricardo. So I'm going to close it just so you know. So let's pretend I already did that before. And again, that's not something you have to do every time. So now I'm on let's pretend we're on a new slide deck. And I went to add-ons and here it is right here. And I would just open it and it would open up the dashboard on the right side right there. Okay, so
right.
you don't, yeah.
I was going to say, just to be fair to Office 365 and PowerPoint, we do want to make sure that you see that it's almost the same process when it comes to PowerPoint. It is not called an add-on, it's called an add-in, but it will be the same idea. You will go to Insert, okay, and I'm there now. And when I'm there, I go all the way to the right to the three dots over here for more options, and I look for an add-in. And when I go there, you're also going to notice that it is the first one available right there because it's one of the most popular ones. I will do the same thing that Teresa did. I will click Pear Deck add-in. I'm going to click it, and now it says that it's been added, and I can come in here and do exactly what Teresa is going to demonstrate on Google and what she was showing you a second ago, and it's going to ask me to log in. The reason why it's doing that is because a second ago I was logged in under Google, and now I'm going into PowerPoint, which is asking me to log in again.
So whichever one you have most of, if you tend to use more PowerPoint, then we suggest going that way. And if you use more Google, use the Google one. But you could use both, just so you know, you could use both. But I'm going to be demonstrating through Google since I think most of us are using that right now. All right, so here we go. So over here on the right, I'm just going to start in order. And Ricardo, please feel free to interject at any time. So at this very top, it says start lesson. Don't start it yet because we haven't created anything yet, but just know from now on, if you actually want to use this as a Pear Deck interactive slide, then you have to start lesson here. You would not use present over here at the top like you used to, because if you present it, it's just going to be a presentation. It's not going to be interactive in any way. You want to start the lesson here like what Ricardo demonstrated earlier. You would start it and it would provide you a code for your students or a link, whatever it is. So again, use start lesson. Don't use present at the top. Okay. And then we're going to go over here to the little hamburger or the 3 lines. You have how Pear Deck works. It kind of just shows you more information. You can share your lesson with other people. You can require student login. Some teachers say, no, you know what? I'm going to turn this off because I want everyone to be able to participate regardless of whether they're logged in or not. But a lot of the things that Ricardo had demonstrated earlier, the takeaways, the feedback, things like that, it requires student login. So we do suggest as best practice to keep it on. Ricardo, did you want to say anything else about that?
No, you made that point. If you want to be able to use reflect and review, you honestly want to have that turned on. Yeah, we also have teachers that like to use Pear Deck as an assignment inside of Canvas at our school, and then by having it turned on, they know the name of the kid when they go and put the points. If they didn't have that turned on, they wouldn't know who the kid is. It would be all anonymous answers.
Very good point. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to close out of that. So I don't know if we're going to have time to talk about Pear Deck Power Up. We'll see how long this session goes. But that's another powerful thing that we might have to go back to on another session. But let's go ahead and go through our basic things that can help you get started. So we have a template library right here. Ricardo already showed you some of them earlier when he tried to insert it in the middle of his presentation. But here we are. So I'm just going to click on it. And here we are. We have actual slides that you can use straight from Pear Deck that are already made for you and already made interactive by Pear Deck. So the first one I clicked on was beginning of lesson. Maybe what do you wonder about today's topic? I simply click on it, and you could see on the left, it's going to appear in my slides. And there it is right there. And just like any slide, you can grab it. You could bring it anywhere you want. Maybe you want it in the beginning. It's up to you. And just because Pear Deck created these for you doesn't mean you can't alter them. You can change them in any way. You can change the words. You can even change this image here. You could put your own emoji. Like, who knows? You could put anything right here. And when you look at the bottom, see where it says students write your response? That tells you that this is an actual interactive slide. The students are going to be asked to do something to interact with the slide. You need to keep this here. You cannot delete it, because if you do, it will no longer be interactive. So some teachers might see that their slides, maybe this is covering some information you need at the bottom of your slide. So you can move it. You can move it to the top. You can move it to the middle. You can even move it off your slide. So let's say you don't want them to see it at all because they need to see the full slide. You can move it off your slide. So when you present, the kids don't see it at all, but do not delete it. I think I said that like 3 times already. Don't delete it because it will no longer be interactive. So I think I said that enough. But anyways, so you can go on and you could add any slides. We'll go back. We have some during the lesson slides. These are amazing to kind of check how their understanding is in the middle. Do you agree, disagree? This is a great one. And you don't have to add the interactive, or is that a word, Ricardo? Interactiveness? You don't need to add it anyway. It is now. You don't need to add it. It's already there. Like I said, these are ready to go, but you could add things if you want. Okay, so end of lesson, kind of like an exit ticket. Go ahead, Ricardo. I can hear you.
I was going to say that this is such a great tool, and I think this is a feature that is a little bit more powerful on Google Slides compared to PowerPoint, because when you do it in PowerPoint, it's a little bit different. If I show you my screen and I try to do the same thing and I try to add it, it's not gonna add it inside of that PowerPoint. I actually have to go. It opens it in a different place, and I have to bring it in. Is that correct, Teresa? How it works in PowerPoint?
So in PowerPoint, it gives you a whole slide deck with all of these tools, and you just copy and paste it into your deck. So it still totally works. But I mean, like you said, we must admit in Google, it's already here and you just click on it, it just puts it in. They both work kind of the same, just as easily, but just in a different way. So thank you for remembering to say that. Thank you, Ricardo. So here we are in like our exit tickets kind of thing. There you go. And so we keep going down here. We have critical thinking. These are really great ones. We see teachers using all the time. So if you can't think of, how do I deepen my lesson? How do I make this more interesting? How do I really engage them more? These are great resources. So I observe, I wonder, and I'm not going to put these all in, but I'm just showing you social emotional learning, which is so important these days, especially as we're transitioning back into the classroom after being gone for over a year for a lot of us. We really want to check on how they're doing. So what's filling your bucket today? Stress check, really checking on how they're doing. It's really great to have this in the beginning of your lessons or throughout to make sure that they're feeling okay as you're providing your instruction. And kids are loving this as well. And again, they're all ready to go. This is a draw because they're going to type how they're feeling and things like that. Okay. I'm going to keep going down. We do have example questions here. They are by subject area. So if you feel like, my kids wouldn't use this, they're too small, but there's stuff in here for K2. So if you click on this, you could see lots of great activities and you will be surprised. Our little ones know how to draw. They know how to show you their answers in here. It's so easy for them. I think you'd be amazed to try it. Okay. So we also have our subject matter, of course, math, etc. And I won't go through all of those. We know that you can figure that out on your own. And now I'm actually going to go into the section of how to make your own slides interactive so that they can do it with you when you present. Okay, Ricardo, am I missing anything before I go on?
No, I think showing them by subject was another feature where I think the Google Slide version is a lot more powerful than the PowerPoint because it's not like that in PowerPoint. So I wanted to make sure that we also added that.
Did you say it was more powerful in PowerPoint or Google?
I don't remember what I said.
Okay. He doesn't want to admit it. No, it's not more powerful. They're just different. One is a little bit easier than the other, I think, slightly, but they're both great. Okay, so here we are. ask students a question. So I'm just going to go to one of my slides that I know would need a response. So this one, how would a former student describe you in one word? This looks familiar. What do I need here? I need a text. I don't care where they're going to put it. I just want text. So I'm going to click on text and watch what happens. It works its magic, and oops, I'm going to go ahead and update slide. It's adding it, and there it is. That's it. It was as simple as that. So now when your students go on, they're going to have to write text on the right side. Okay. So the next one, we're just going to show you a few. We won't show you all of them because I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but how many books? So we're asking for a number. We're going to go over here to number. We're going to click on that. And we did demonstrate this earlier for you intentionally, so you knew what it looked like from the student's point of view, but it was as simple as that. So now they provide a number. Okay, the next one was a static slide, so we didn't add anything here. This graph right here was, oh, I see. So the Desmos calculator. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and take this out. It was there for a moment. So let me find, please hold.
You just noticed that by doing that, Teresa took out the Pear Deck option that we had in there just by deleting the Perry. Is that his name?
Yes. That's the Pear Deck mascot. Okay, so here's the one that we were talking about that had the Desmos calculator in there. So you go to website, and then you actually grab the website that you want. You stick it in there, just like that. Update slide. And now you might not be able to see it from your end, but that's why we showed it to you earlier. So now it's there. You can't see it right now, but when the students see it, they're going to see it show up right here on the right. So whatever website you wanted them to go to, it would be right here in the slide, so they don't have to leave it for any reason. Okay, so that's a powerful one. All right, so this next one, what kind of lines? Okay, so this one is a multiple choice. So I'm going to click on choice right here. And I think the choices here, perpendicular, parallel, vertical. Go ahead, Ricardo.
As Teresa's typing the responses or the options, something to remember is that Pear Deck is not an assessment type of tool. It's an engagement type of tool. So if you're thinking that you're going to pick C and put that as the right answer, it doesn't grade it for you. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. You can see how the kids are doing. You can check for understanding. You can engage. But if you're thinking as something that is going to grade it for you, it's not going to grade it for you. On the multiple choice, there's no such thing as saying this is the correct answer. So it gives you a point.
Good point. Thank you, Ricardo. Okay, so before I move on to the next type, I do want to make sure down here, one of the premium features is add audio to slides. So you know those students who are like, wait, what am I supposed to do on this slide? So instead of them asking you over and over, especially if they're doing student paced and they're working on their own and maybe you're working with a small group or with other students, you don't want them to keep asking you what they're supposed to do. You can add audio to the slide. So you can click on that. And then I don't know if it will work because I'm using my mic right now with you, but let's try. But I actually have to know what it says. What kind? I can't read it. I can't see it. What kind? Oh, you know what? I'm just going to say, please read the directions. Please read the directions on the question. And then you could just save it. And then you could listen to it and then add it. We're not going to listen to it because, I mean, it wasn't really what it said. But go ahead, Ricardo. What were you going to say?
I was going to say what a great tool to be able to add the audio to provide extra instructions or maybe directions. We are going to mention how you can turn on immersive reader when we go into peardeck.com, which will essentially do something similar to what the audio does if you were using it just to give instructions to read the question.
Thank you. And so so the students now can listen to the instructions over and over. If I was actually doing this, I would read what this slide says, or maybe I tell the students that whenever you see this audio, I'm giving you a hint. So maybe you'll give them a hint to certain questions depending on what you're covering. So that's really cool. Okay, so here's a slide where you're going to want to add a draggable. So we went over here to draggable, and then we wait. And by default, it's a dot. And you can choose different icons. I think for the presentation, we chose a person. So that was this one. And you could change the color as well, any color that you want. And you could change the size. Maybe you want it a little bit bigger so they could see it easily. You could add another one as well. So maybe you want them to drag more than one thing. So that's up to you depending on what your question is. So we're just going to update the slide. And now when the students go in, they can drag it around just like what we demonstrated earlier. So let's just show you a different type of draggable right here. We showed you the little person. And a lot of teachers didn't even imagine that this was there. So where is the equator? I think that was a horizontal line. You just simply pick it right here. You choose how thick and thin you want the line, update slide. And then now they'll be able to drag the line throughout. And then the next one is the static slide. We won't take you through all of them. This one is where we had the vertical line right here. Here's another example right here. Draw lines to match the image to the answer. So this is, again, this would be a draw, actually. So you would select draw for this one, where they would be matching, drawing lines between items. And it's so easy to turn it into an interactive slide. All I did was click draw, and now it's going to be there for them. Okay. This next one, so a lot of teachers have asked, like, how do I take an actual worksheet or a picture of a worksheet, especially during distance learning, and how do I make it interactive? You could take a picture. This was actually in my Google Keep. I love Google Keep. I just throw it in Keep right here. I take a picture with my phone and I drag it in just like that. And then you just turn it into a draw slide, just like this. And now students can actually type their answers in, or they could show their work and things like that. Okay, I know there are a lot of other options now, but that was really helpful for our students, especially during distance learning. Okay, draw your favorite animal. This would be a draw one as well. And one last one, Ricardo. I'm sorry, I'm almost done, I promise.
Yeah.
And like that discussion we had earlier, label the femur. So yes, this is text. We would not choose a text box because that would just add text to the side. We want them to show us where it belongs. So again, we would choose draw for this one so that they could type it in where they want it on the slide. Okay, so again, we just repeated that one more time. But that's how simple it is to use materials from Pear Deck, or to actually use your own material and turn them into interactive slides. And so let me continue down here. Add audio to slide. I already went over that. And just more information about how Pear Deck works. It just takes you to more resources as well. So Ricardo, where did you want to take them right now? I know we wanted to take them somewhere else.
Oh, I wanted to make sure that we also got to see the Pear Deck website, because there's some great tools that we might not be aware of. So I'm going to just show you. So here I am at peardeck.com. And when you come in, it's going to ask you to log in as a teacher. And again, for our district, we are lucky enough to have our Google or our Microsoft. They both have premium accounts. They're a little different, just like we've been showing you. So let's go to Google right now. A little bit more options in the Google one. So I'm going to click in there, and I'm just going to log in with my Google account, and you're going to see that it's going to take me in there. And there's a couple of things that I want you to see. The first one is what Teresa just went over. You can create Pear Deck from Google Slides. So if I went in here, it will go into my Google Slides, and I can pick one and do essentially what Teresa just did. I think this is so powerful, and we don't use it enough. I don't have to be binded to a Pear Deck Google Slides or a PowerPoint. If I come over here and I do a pop-up activity, maybe the kids just came in and I want to just basically do something very, very simple. I can do a beginning of a class activity. I can do a during class or end of class. And it's just that one slide. I'm not creating a whole presentation. It's just one that I want to use, again, as an exit slip or as an entry slip or as a warm-up or something in the middle of the class, the lesson that I want to engage my students. So I can always have the ability to do that from these pop-up activities right here. I'll talk about Pear Deck vocab, which is pretty incredible, in a second. We'll go back to that one in a second. Notice that over here, you have access to your drive. So any files that are in your drive are going to be right here. The same thing will occur if I go to Microsoft. And I'll show you that really quick. So, because I want to make sure that I'm fair to Microsoft.
Always to be fair, of course.
So we have, I'm logged in now again, and I can do the same thing from a PowerPoint point of view that we showed you before. I have the ability to do the pop-up activities. Notice that the flashcard vocab factory is not here. It's not available in PowerPoint right now. And now at the bottom, I have access to my OneDrive to start right from any of my PowerPoints that I have available. So very similar, with the exception of a couple of things. Let me go back to Google again. And then what I wanted you to see is that there's a couple of things that you might not be aware of. One of them is that if you go all the way to the right to where your account is, you can click on your picture or your initial, whatever it might be, and you can actually click on my account. And there's a couple of options that you might not be aware of. So we are premium, so we have all of the options available. But if I go to settings, I can show you. Remember that classroom climate slide that Teresa got at the beginning? How are you feeling? After a while, the kids might get tired of it. So you can turn that off if you want to. You don't have to
Why?
have it on all the time. If you're in high school, they'll get sick of it after a while.
Okay, fine.
So you can turn that off if you want to. You also have the ability to have just the mood one only at the beginning, like the one Teresa showed you. You also could have one with the feedback only, like how did it go, how was this presentation, and so on and so on. The kids can give you honest feedback, or you can have both of them turned on, or you can just have them turned off. So that's kind of a great tool to have right there. Immersive reader. I don't think we're going to be able to show you immersive reader today, but basically it will take that slide, those instructions, and turn it into this completely different way for the students to have all this, I guess, support. It can translate for them. It can slow the reading. It can mask so the kids can concentrate. It can show a picture dictionary. It has so many tools that if we have a chance, we'll show you. We did it on our engagement series last week, but it's such a great tool to have. If you have Google Classroom, you can turn this on, okay, to make it easier for you to use Pear Deck. And we talked about requiring student logins. If you want to choose with Google, you could. With Microsoft, you could. But we do recommend it if you want to be able to have that reflect and review option. Okay, so this is under your account over here, your profile, which is great. I'm going to go back home, which we saw before. Okay, I'm going to show you before I move on to the vocabulary. I want you to see sessions. So any session that I've done, I always have access right in here. Okay, so just because I closed the session doesn't mean I can come back in here and the next day and reopen the session for my students to continue. Okay, so I always have that ability to do that. I can come over here and rename the session if I want to. I can archive it, so I don't want to see it. All of a sudden, I have too many up here in my session, so I can archive some of them. As I mentioned before, if you close that reflector review, it doesn't matter. Through sessions, you can come in here, go to the snowman, open it up. And what I showed you before is going to be available right here for you to go in there if you wanted to and be able to, again, go to your students and provide that reflection and that review for them. So you always have access through your session tab over here. This is the magical link that we talked about, that when you send it to the students, it knows who they are based on their Google account, and it'll provide that specific feedback that you gave to that particular student. So that's right there. So again, you always have that ability to see there, to see that from here. Okay, so that's over here. When you archive, they do not get deleted. They just go into the archive, and you can always restore any of the sessions that you had before. So they are in here, and you have option to do that. Okay, going back to home. So as a Spanish teacher, this Pear Deck vocab is such a great tool that I've used in my class, and I think my students love it. So we're going to give you a little demo of how it works. Okay, so I'm going to come in here again, something that is available with Google, not with Microsoft. I'm going to create a vocab list, and Pear Deck has partnered with some amazing people to make this a lot easier for us. Okay, I'll show you how this works. So I'm in here now, and as a teacher, the first thing that I want to do is I want to create the vocabulary that we're going to be using. Okay, so for today, just to keep it simple, I'm just gonna call this one shapes. Okay, just to show you how easy it's going to be. And now my first term is going to be a circle. Okay, so let's go ahead and type that there. And then, yes, I can come in here and define it if I wanted to with the definitions that I want to use, but they've actually partnered, and they have a vocabulary provided by Merriam-Webster, which will give you some pretty amazing definitions. So over here, I can find the one that is going to apply to what I'm trying to do. So instead of me typing it, I can just click and it's already there. So it makes it easier for a teacher to just come in here and build this really fast, right? Without having to take all this time. Square. Okay, definition. There they are. I'm gonna pick the first one just for now, and let's do one more. Let's do. Sorry, let me type it here. Angle. Okay. Let's go to definitions. Okay, and over here I have it. Right. Okay. So as I build my my list, it's ready to go. And now that I created the list, I can come over here and play what they call flashcard factory. So I'm going to click on it, and what's going to happen is going to provide the students that code very similar to the code that you saw when Teresa was doing the Pear Deck. So it's going to open it right now. So let's kind of give it a second right now. So let's go here. Okay, I see it. Here it goes. So we're going to join this. So if you give us a second, we're going to try to join. So I'm going to take this student point of view so we can see it. Okay. And then the students will just enter the code, just like we did before. Okay. And then the students, I know Teresa's going in there, so I'll make sure you see this, what the students see. So here are your tasks for today, okay? So the kids are working in groups. Again, that engagement, that collaboration with the kids is huge when it comes to Flashcard Factory. Your teachers and your classmates will vote on your cards, so the kids really want to try, right? Because if they don't try, they're going to be thrown in the trash. You'll see how that works. So the kids really get really excited, and they really get very competitive, and the teams with the most chosen cards wins the game. That's how it works. So I'm ready to do this. I'm going to be switching between teacher view and student view so you can see it. So I noticed that 2 students have joined, or 2 workers. So I'm ready to start. So let's clock in to go to the factory.
And this is so much more fun when you have more participants because they do work in teams, and it's pretty great actually.
So I can see the day shift, which is I'm the only person in the day shift. But if you have more students, like Teresa said, they will be here, and Teresa's in the other shift. And notice that I can shuffle the team. So they have the ability. If I have like 20 students, I can shuffle the teams if I'm not happy with how they were divided, right? And then I'm ready with this. So let's go ahead and play. And now that I do let's play, I want you to see what it looks like from the student point of view. So this is what it's asking the student to do. It says, draw an example of a circle. And it gives them the definition. So one student got this particular question, okay? While another one gets a different one. Write an example of a circle. And as Teresa's doing this, I'm gonna continue and do. So I'll have Teresa continue with hers.
I purposely chose the wrong one. Don't judge me. I'm just doing it for the point of the exercise.
Okay, and we only did 3, so we're gonna kind of move. And then notice how they have the option to say, look good, ship it, so the students can go back and they're not happy with it. Teresa showed you that right now.
And usually when you're in teams, someone will be in charge of a picture, someone else is in charge of a definition, and then you flip-flop so you have a chance to do both different tasks. So you're not doing the picture and definition for each thing. Everyone is getting their own piece.
Everybody's participating, which is great. They're working as a team. Notice that when that team is done, it will tell them, you're done with all of the terms, right? We only had 3 terms, right? So as a teacher, I can come in here and I can see that I got 3 examples for the 3 terms that we had. I can notice over here what were our vocabulary words, and I can go to quality control. So since I've created our examples now, and now we can go look at as a class, and we can decide which ones are the best ones, okay? So we go in here, and I look at this one, and I'm like, okay, circle and a clock, and knowing that was Teresa's answers, because I know my answer was completely wrong, I can say, this is a good one, okay? You know what? I am going to bring this one in, but if the class as a whole decided that wasn't a good one, we can just X that one and maybe just go to the trash. So let's pick this one. I thought that was a good one. Okay, so we get stamp, and then this is the one that my team did, but I really like Teresa's better than mine, so I just want to have 1 circle, so I can just kick this one out. Okay, that one got rejected.
That was a nice circle.
Okay, and then square, and obviously, as we look at it, the kids are gonna, oh, no, that's not a square. The little ones will get all happy and excited and be like, no, that's not right. So we're gonna go ahead and X that one. And I don't think mine's a square either, but it's a rectangle. But let's say that this was the right one, right? We're gonna approve this one right here. And you move
there.
And you move on through each of them, right? As you are going through them with the students participating, right? Let's get rid of this one. And then let's bring this one in. Just to give you an idea. I know I'm not a very fair teacher. And now we made an amazing set, okay? And now this is brand new. This was not available before. You can print the sets now. So if you wanted to provide a copy of this, you could actually come in here and print it for the students, which is great. You were not able to do this before, so you could go ahead and print them. But let's go ahead and look at what you have here. You can export to GIMP Live, and we're not going to have time to spend talking about GIMP, but it's such a great engagement tool. And I think when we get to our engagement series, when it comes to gamifying your classroom, you'll see us talk about some of these tools such as Quizlet, GimKit, and so on and so on. Incredible, one of my favorite tools, and you'll see it eventually. But you can go ahead and take it into GimKit so the kids can play with them. So this was just a very short introduction to Flashcard Factory, and we think it's such a powerful tool when it comes to vocabulary. Anything that I missed on that, Teresa?
No, that was so much fun. The kids love it so much. I'm glad we actually had time to get to it. So no, nothing to add.
Perfect.
So I know we covered a lot about Pear Deck right now. There's still so much more that we didn't even get to, but before the end of our session, we did want to show you how to bring it into an LMS. Like, for example, our district uses Canvas, so we did want to show you how to use it in there. So Ricardo's going to go over that right now.
Sure. So let's go ahead and go to Canvas now. And then we've seen our teachers get creative with Pear Deck, and they've used it mostly in two different ways. The first one is where they actually made it an assignment, and they actually wanted to be an assignment that is going to be worth points, so they can actually take that from the gradebook and Canvas and send it to our SIS, which is Aries. So the way they've done it, it doesn't matter if you do it through modules or if you do it through assignments. Let's just go to a module. Why not? Okay, and then they come in here and they go in and they create a new assignment. Okay, and then I'm just going to create a new assignment. Okay, and let me give it a name. So I'm just going to call it Pear Deck just for today. Okay, a lot of our teachers like to indent and also use emojis. I didn't do that today, but maybe I should do it. So let's go ahead and go to the add item. Okay, and notice that it's right here now. So let's go ahead and click on it so we can look and edit it a little bit. So let's go edit. And then our teachers come in here and they do want it that assignment to count. So maybe they'll make it worth 5 points. Okay. And maybe it's just completing it. That's why the students get 5 points, just by completing it. Okay. And then they come in here and do the groups. If you have groups, I'm just going to leave it under assignments. Okay. And over here under submission, they pick external tools. And when they do that, they get the option to come and find it. And then our district has Pear Deck as an LTI. So we're going to look for it. And it's going to be right here. And I can come in here and select it. Okay. And I can come over here and do the due date. So let's make it due, I don't know, Saturday for this time. I'm going to put an until date of Saturday. Okay. And then it's available. And I'm just going to put that it was available from yesterday. Okay. So let's go ahead and save. Okay, and it's coming in here. And then now I have the ability to come and select that particular Pear Deck that I'm going to be using. So notice that it's going to ask me to connect. The first time I do it, it's going to ask me to connect to my Google. So I'm going to agree. And after I do that, it's going to find all of the Pear Deck Google slide sets that I created. And I can just come over here and select it. Okay, so I'll select this one. Okay. And now this is doing it through an assignment. Okay, and I can decide if I want to make a student page or instructor page. That's completely up to you. Okay, so I'm just going to go with this and I'm all ready to go. So this is how you will set it up for our students and you can do it as an assignment. And we have, again, some teachers that don't like to use it as assignments, just as a tool to engage our students. And the same idea, they'll come to modules, just like we did to create that assignment. They'll come over here to the module, they'll hit the plus, and they'll come over here. And instead of assignment, they will pick over here the external tool. Okay, it gives us the option to select. So I'm going to find that Pear Deck in here. Okay, let's go ahead and add item. Okay, and notice that it's going to be in there. It's not ready. I haven't published it yet. I can go and click on it, and I'm going to get the same options that I got before. But notice that this time there was no points associated to this particular Pear Deck that I created. I'm just going to select one. Okay, let's just pick that one. And let me go to the bottom somewhere. Oh, did I pick one? Did you see me pick one? I'm sorry, I don't know if I did.
Yeah, just pick it.
There we go. There we go. I thought I had picked one. I had to select the same idea over here. And now it's in here. And you will notice that it's all set up now. Okay. And then when the students come in here, again, they could have an assignment as a Pear Deck or just an engagement tool right here. Okay.
And that's amazing. So now, especially if it was students' pace, they can just go in there and they can just access it straight from there. They don't have to copy a link. They don't have to put in the code or anything. So if you have an LMS, there's lots of different ones out there. Like we use Canvas, and you saw how easy it was to put your material in here. So yeah, very easy.
So I know we went really fast and we covered a lot of information. We did leave some stuff. I wish we would have had time to cover the Chrome extension for Pear Deck, which basically allows those videos that when a PowerPoint or a Google slide becomes a Pear Deck, they don't have the ability to play the videos. I think it has to be open on another screen. So this allows you to do that. And if we had time, we would have covered that, but we do have videos on that we can put the link down below so you can see that. But I think this concludes our engagement series on Pear Deck. We will continue to do this engagement series. We're looking forward to doing our Gamify Your Classroom and other ones that are coming up in the future. Is there anything that I missed, Teresa?
Nope, that is all. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.